Hi, I'm Dave from boyinaband.com, and welcome to day 5 of the 7-day song on Jump Up Drum and Bass. That's a collaboration with Noise Storm. Yesterday we created a lead synth along with an ARP synth, and today will be about those last few patches, a delayed piano, adding vocals, and a simple sweet pitch build-up synth. And let's start on that pitch build-up synth. Make a combinator, name it Build Synth, and we're going to have a mixer, a Thought instance, and we're going to initialize it and open it up. I'll be using one long note, so I'm just going to put that in now. Just here on the C, with that C3 octave. Okay, so that's drawn in, and we're going to make it bend in pitch. So right click, parameter automation, and you'll get this track parameter automation window. Select pitch bend, okay, and you'll get this little pitch bend window appearing. Then if we zoom in, we're going to draw from the bottom all the way to the top, just so the pitch will bend all the way up. Like that. Now you can change how much the pitch bends by altering this range here. So if you wanted it to be a whole octave, just change the range to 12. Which will be 12 semitones, which is 1 octave. So that's 12 below, and then it goes up to 12 semitones above that middle point. Now we're going to add a bunch of other cool effects to the sound as well to give it a bit more pizzazz, which in my opinion is a wholly underutilized word. So, along with our analog oscillator, let's make 2 multi-oscillators. 1 and 2 octaves up, run them through. Then we're going to route it into this filter with 0 ENV, so this filter envelope doesn't affect it at all. Full sustain on the amp envelope, so it doesn't lose volume like we heard before, so now it sounds a bit like this. And let's add a bit of chorus, with more dry than wet, so it's got a bit more power. Kind of like that. And let's bring this frequency down a bit as well. We're going to automate this soon, along with a load of other stuff. Next up, we're going to make a comb filter. This is an interesting little device that creates a delayed version of the signal, then feeds it back into itself to make a metallic kind of sound. Turning it onto comb minus gives it less low end, which is convenient since we don't want to outshine the drop in terms of bassiness. This is simply to build anticipation. Then we're going to put the frequency quite low, on about 1/4. Take a listen to what it does to the sound. See, as it gets closer to the bottom, it becomes more metallic. Get that ENV down. And the resonance, which is how much is being fed back, we're going to bring that up to 1/2. Notice how when you move it, these parameters start to give this really cool kind of phasing almost effect. Okay, so it's sounding pretty bland at the moment, so we can make it better. Turn LFO1 rate all the way down to 0, or as close as it'll get. We're not going to hit the tempo sync this time. And down here in the MBR, the modulation bus routing section, we're going to route LFO1 to the filter 3 frequency. So the comb filter's frequency will modulate with the LFO. It'll take frickin' ages though, since the rate is so slow, but we'll sort that out when we get to the automation in a bit. So let's increase the amount, and let's route it to the resonance as well. Filter 3 res, which is incidentally a cool game. So we're basically picking parameters that make cool effects and just playing with their automation settings. So feel free to try out phases, formant filters and distortions as well, or instead of this. So we have it all linked up. Now it's time to automate. Let's right click and edit this automation for filter 1 frequency. And over the length of the note, as you can see it's appeared here quite conveniently, we're going to take it from the bottom all the way to the top. So that'll open up over the life of the note. So if we solo out that Thor track that's just appeared. There we go, it's opening up nicely. Now, a cool trick to maintain presence of a sound is to duplicate it. At the moment, I think the filter is cutting too much from the sound, so let's route everything down here into filter 2 as well, and hit this little arrow to route it into the amp. So now we have both the filtered and unfiltered versions of the sound with the automation. So this means over time the sound will appear to get higher pitched and brighter whilst still maintaining a reasonable presence. That's smart, yo! Next thing to automate is the LFO rate. Again, we're going to right click Edit Automation and take it all the way up. Take a listen. Crazy noises. You might want to avoid the absolute top since it can get quite overbearing in the mix, so feel free to bring it down a little bit if you want. Lastly, we can automate the master level of the effect from the mixer. You can do this from the overall mixer, but I like to do it here so we can change the volume more easily without having to worry about it in the main mixer. So right click Edit Automation and see if you can guess. I'm going to take it from a low volume to, leave it around where its default value is. Taking it from a lower point to the main high point where it'll be more prominent just allows the effect to have a more prominent volume swell rather than jumping in straight away being all,
oh hi there, I'm just going to sit on your mix.
This also has a useful side effect since you can completely cut out all the volumes of the sound by taking it to 0 with this automated parameter. So for instance, if we had a little fill that jumped in exactly at that point, we could simply do this and cut it out completely at that point. And say if you put in a quick delay in the mixer aux, right click, digital delay line, you just dial that in a bit. That'll tie the effect together nicely and cut out dead when that volume automation brings the smack down. So, there's our first synth. Join me in part 2 where we'll look at a quick piano delay and adding some vocal samples.